SFI certified course for those who might have an interest on the motorsports medical side. We definitely want to have some experience or classes already in that area, but we'll have paramedics, EMTs, firefighters, doctors, nurses participate in the hands-on training. It's a one-day hands-on training course, and you get an SFI certification. So again, 3 great days in December, and we'll kick it off at the reception on Tuesday night. We hope you can join us. We know it's during finals week for many of you. Hopefully you can work around that with your instructors because it is a top-level international event that you'll benefit from. And then I shared in the chat box there the website link for you can join us as a member. Several of you here with us today are members. If you're not, we actually created, when David and I got together 5 years ago and said, what else can we do? And we got to get the younger generation involved. We really said we got to get the students involved. So Mike Reed, Dr. Reed from the University of Florida, David up at Michigan State, and a few others actually put their thoughts together and said, let's create a student level membership. It's $50 a year compared to a medical doctor that's $400. So again, we priced it to where students can afford it. And we really think you can get a lot out of it. So again, we hope you consider joining the ICMS and getting engaged with us because I think it's a great way to launch your career. Thanks, David.
Right. Yeah, thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. Well, with that, I'm going to turn it over to our speaker today, Trifun, Dr. D, as he sometimes goes by. Trifun, are you there with us? Is it all right?
Yeah, I'm here. For some reason, I can't see my video. I'm sure you guys can't see me either, and I don't know why. I've been mucking around with this thing for the last 10 minutes. I cannot get it to show me, although my camera's on, and I don't know why that is. I just used this yesterday and it was working, so I have no clue what happened. But hopefully you can see my slides. Maybe not being able to see me is a blessing in disguise.
Well, I would not say that, but why don't you try and share your screen? Let's see if we can see the slides.
Okay.
And then if not, maybe back out and come back in.
Yeah,
Sure.
David, we've had that before a couple times on the cafes where they had to log out and come back in. And if he has to log out, Leonard can entertain us for at least a minute or two while he does that.
Okay. Leonard, I'd love to hear your jokes as we're ready then.
Wait, can we see?
You guys see me now?
Hold on, it's loading. Yes!
Oh, there we go. We have you and we have the slides now.
You know, all I can explain it is it's like my golf swing. I close my eyes, I swing hard, sometimes good things happen. Clearly that's the case here. So all right, let me share the slides here. All righty, here we go.
Don't worry, Leonard, we'll come back to you at the end.
Yeah, no, we can get to Leonard. I just sorry, Leonard, I didn't mean to step on you there. Now you can you see them now?
I see your slides. We've lost you, but I have this great picture of you in a fire suit on the screen right now.
All right, I guess we'll have to go with that. I don't know what's happening. But anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So I can get started, or we can go back to Leonard.
Let's go with you, sir. So just quick kind of points of order. We are recording this, so this will be available a little bit later once I post it. I am noticing a little bit of lagging on my end, so I'm probably going to turn my video off. I'm not going to ignore you. I'll be here the entire time, but just to make sure that we have a constant stream. So with that, I will say, I have to give you a better introduction than this. I am sorry. We got distracted here. This was terrible of me.
Oh, you're fine.
My gosh. Well, I am clearly not, it's time for me to transition out of this role, Tom, if I'm not introducing this. It is my sincere pleasure to introduce my friend Trifun to talk to us a little bit on motorsport medicine. I met him, I believe it might be 10 years ago at ICMS, where he's been highly involved with the organization. He is one of the individuals that's responsible for the program that we see every year at the annual Congress. I will also be so bold to say that he's the one that has made it so good the past couple of years. It's organized, it's controlled, it's on time, which we all appreciate. He also has a real job as a physician and works quite a lot with SRO and the Detroit Grand Prix, which I think he's going to talk a lot about with that. So with that, I'm going to shut up because no one wants to hear me. I'm going to turn it over to you, Trifun. The floor is yours.
All right, here we go. We're going to try one more thing to see if this works. Let's see if this works. And you can see me and no. Okay, one more thing. Let's try this. But you can't see the slides though, or can you see the slides?
Well, I was seeing the slides and now I see you and I see what looks like the Detroit Grand Prix in the background.
Yeah, no, that's not it. Okay, so let me go back to the way it was. Okay, so you're not going to be able to see me. That's okay. It's a good thing. Okay. So thank you very much for that introduction. Again, Leonard, I'm sorry that we were going to have you talk and then I, stepped all over you. I apologize. Thank you so very much for the introduction, David. It's actually truly a pleasure to be here. Um, where do I start? Motorsports is a big piece of what I do, and it's a very big piece of what I do now, but it wasn't always like that. For the longest time, just being, somebody who loves motorsports and, kind of goes out of my way. I've even been known to schedule shifts around certain races on the weekend. I probably shouldn't have said that since we're recording this, but if any of you guys leak this, all right. But as I was going through residency and I was completing my training, I was not involved in motorsports whatsoever. We did have the Detroit Grand Prix at that time, which was very much viewed and attended by myself. And then in 2001, just as I was finishing up my residency, the Grand Prix kind of went away for a few years. I graduated medical school, finished up my residency, and then in 2007, it came back. And since 2007, I've been involved. And I'm going to talk about my journey and my involvement through the almost 2 decades now. This is my day job. I think with very rare exception, almost all of us that work in motorsports have a day job that pays the bills, and we get up every morning and go to. It's too bad we can't get up every morning and go to the track, but we do what we can. I'm emergency medicine trained and boarded. I work in the emergency department at Detroit Receiving. Along with that, I am very fortunate that I not only get to do what I do in the emergency department and work clinically, but I also get a chance to teach at the School of Medicine. I have a academic appointment there through Wayne State School of Medicine, and aside from teaching emergency medicine, I also am director of the simulation lab, so I get to not only work with emergency medicine, but other residency programs and the students to simulate various scenarios and teach students. And then the other part of what I do is I get to do motorsports medicine. Now, like I said, I graduated from the School of Medicine in 2002. I completed residency in 2005. And the thing that always really interested me and what I thought I was going to be doing more so than motorsports, to be honest, in my residency is I really like pre-hospital care. And I actually got to do a bit of flight medicine. Midwest Med Flight used to fly out of St. Joe's, Ann Arbor, and during residency for each of the months that I had an elective, I flew with them. And then when I graduated residency, I worked with them for about 5-6 years until the new CEO didn't want to pay for the program, and it got decommissioned and it went away. So I was very upset. But kind of at the time that it was going away, I was kind of really starting to ramp up in motorsports. So it kind of was okay that had happened. So currently, I serve as the medical director for the Detroit Grand Prix. I also serve as chief medical officer for SRO Motorsports. I also served as chief medical officer for short caution motorsports. Technically, I still do, and as well as for Nitrocross. And then I have my involvement with the ICMS, where I sit not only on the board of directors, but also the executive committee, and I chair the annual Congress, something that I very much enjoy doing. It kind of gives me motorsports year round, and I absolutely love it. So when the Grand Prix came back to Detroit in 2007, I saw the email, I replied, I signed up, and I was off and running. And the reason I tell this story, it's very important that you maintain some level of perspective when you're going through your motorsports journey, right? I really didn't know what to expect when I showed up for orientation, and then when I showed up for my first day at the track, I didn't kind of know how it was organized. I didn't know exactly what I was being until obviously after the orientation. But I just kind of went in there, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and was ready to do whatever. And I think they kind of saw that and they said, okay, we got a place for you. And the place that I was first put on my very first day at the track, and now mind you, I was done with medical school. I was done with residency training. I had been an attending for about 2 years now. And I was put in charge. I was the lead physician in the first aid station that was in the Meyer Family Fun Zone on the island. The Meyer Family Fun Zone is where they had the bouncy houses, and Cadillac had displays in there, and Chevy has displays in there. And then the food court was over there, and just right down the road from First Aid Station 2 was the beer garden, right? So I spent a majority of that day, my very first day, dodging vomit as it was coming my way from drunks that were brought to me from having one too many cocktails from the beer garden. So yeah, that was my first day at the track. So I'm like, wow, well, this is not what I expected. But you know what, though? Uh, again, it depends on your setting. It depends on what the responsibilities of the medical response is for the track in terms of, are you just going to be providing care to the series? Are you going to be providing care on track and in pit lane early? Or are you just going to be doing spectator venue? Or are you going to be doing the whole enchilada? And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So um, anyway, when I prepared to go to a race weekend like I am doing right now, actually, this was a kind of nice little break in my day. I've kind of been packing here, getting ready to go. I leave to go to Long Beach tomorrow. For those of you, I'm sure you probably all know, IndyCar is racing at Long Beach this weekend, and there's many series that'll be there in support. IMSA Stadium Trucks and SRO will be there too. We will be there with our GT America series, so I will be there with SRO. Now, my responsibilities as I get ready to go to Long Beach is different than, for example, the responsibilities that perhaps Dr. Visor has with IndyCar, and that is based on the fact that what does our safety medical team look like for the series? So with let me see what my next slide is here. All right, so. I'll stay on this slide and then I'll go to the next slide. Whoops, went too far. We have a small safety team with SRO. Our safety team is comprised of myself as the chief medical officer. We have a medic in pit lane. We have a jump medic that rides in the medical car, and then we have a nurse in the medical car as well. So we're essentially 4 people. We also have a driver that drives the car on track. And essentially, my job is to make sure that all the safety that needs to be in place for us racing at whatever venue we're going to is in place. And then my job, more importantly, is to reach out in advance to the local safety team and integrate with that safety team. So we don't have recovery vehicles. We don't have other trucks that come to the series with us to do vehicle recovery, track restoration, or cleanup, whatever the case may be. So it's my job to reach out in advance to the local safety team, integrate that with them so that when SRO arrives, we have a cohesive plan that's been put in place already, where we will integrate as their medical car. They will primarily do vehicle recovery. I will, be in the med car. We'll come around. We'll get the driver. Our driver usually is pretty knowledgeable about vehicle recovery. So if the local safety team has any kind of questions regarding vehicle recovery, Kyle, our driver, will help out. We evaluate the driver. If the driver's good, we get the driver. We clear the scene. We let them, recover the vehicle and return the track back to the series so we can go green flag, and the drivers can do whatever they're doing, whether it's practice, quali, or racing. The best weekends I have is really simple. There are those weekends where everything's in place, we're ready for anything and everything, and then I watch racing all weekend and we don't turn a wheel. It gets a little monotonous just sitting there, but I would rather have that than being trackside trying to extricate somebody and wondering what's really going on with them. So that's what I do. Now, outside of that, now I think the way that motorsports medicine has evolved, because my co-chief medical officer with SRO, Dr. Somerville, he's been doing this a lot longer than I have, and he has a vast array of experience in still what he does in motorsports, including being the CMO for F1 Vegas and DCMO for Miami and COTA. So motorsports medicine, even for those who are medical directors or CMOs for a series, is not just you're the doctor between the guardrails, and then once, you know, the checkered flag flies, and you leave the guardrails, you're off. At all hours of the day and night, I get texts and calls and, hey, can you do this? Hey, I stepped on this. Hey, I'm vomiting. What should I do? So I'm essentially there 24/7, ready to do whatever I need to do. So essentially on-track support, and basically everybody in the series. That includes leadership, the field staff, drivers there, our pit lane officials, tech, anybody. So just to speak a little bit about my background here. So I have a lot of experience not only in motorsports, obviously, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, and then both in residency training, and for the first 6 years after residency, I did a lot of flight medicine and pre-hospital medical care and interfacility transfer, but I also have a lot of event medicine as well. I have been fortunate enough to dabble in a lot of things. Most recently, this past spring, I was involved in planning for the NFL draft, and was one of the physicians there all 3 days, taking care of anybody and everybody. I also have previously been involved extensively with the marathon, serving up until the contract went to another facility as the assistant medical director. When the DMC had the sports concierge services for both the Pistons, the Tigers, the Red Wings, I was one of the physicians in Comerica Park in the first aid station there. Got to do a lot of concerts backstage. I remember one of the biggest decisions we had to make at a Leonard Skinner concert was backstage. Leonard Skinner is very specific in terms of what they want. Stage left has to be the bar / smoking area, and stage right has to be pyrotechnics. Well, over the years of doing a lot of smoking and whatnot, a lot of them have developed emphysema and COPD, so we needed oxygen backstage. So we had to make the rough decision of what goes, because the oxygen is coming. Is it the pyrotechnics, or is it the bar and the smoking area? So you can imagine it was quite the dilemma. Just for your amusement, so you don't have to listen to me droning on, we had a little Nitrocross excitement video playing for you in the background there. I can play it again if you guys want to see it while I'm still chit-chatting. When the New Year's Day Winter Classic came, and they were playing, the Red Wings were playing Toronto in Ann Arbor. They had the alumni game at Comerica Park on the field, and the Detroit Red Wing alum were playing the Maple Leaf alum. And the one thing I really remember about that game is I've never been so cold in my life. So careful what you get into. You'll have to brave some conditions. And of course, one of the most eye-opening, exciting things I ever did, where I learned a bunch, was for about 5 or 6 years or so, I was one of the associate team physicians for the Detroit Pistons. And when I was there, that's when Andre Drummond was there, and the guard there, Reggie Jackson. So that's where kind of my event medicine, all my pre-hospital kind of planning for that I use now, even when I plan for motorsports, came from, is just kind of a combination of doing pre-hospital care on the helicopter, and getting comfortable, being uncomfortable, taking care of sick patients, unstable patients, getting comfortable being in an uncomfortable situation, recovering that patient, and then just kind of the event planning that went into just doing all this event medicine that I was a part of. And then that kind of, at the same time that I was doing all this event medicine, the Detroit Grand Prix was going on in the background. And that's kind of where it just every year I was doing more, I was learning more. It seemed like always some kind of new or additional responsibility, whether it was to the event we were working, whether it was to the Detroit Grand Prix. So the Detroit Grand Prix, started back in 2007. Like I said, up until 2001, it was there was a different promoter that was putting on the Detroit Grand Prix in 2001 and left, and then the current promoter, that is the Detroit Grand Prix Association, took over in 2007, the same time that I came in. So since that time, I've been, up and running with them. And one of the things that you got to understand when doing anything really, in outside of the hospital in terms of preparing medical care is we call it motorsports medicine, but at the end of the day, it is event medicine, right? And event medicine is a field of medicine, as it says here, is that focuses on planning and delivering medical care, and then also in real time reviewing that medical care that's being delivered, and then making real time adjustments on the fly. And technically, if you want to get specific, when we plan the Detroit Grand Prix, and although we call it motorsports medicine and it's a race and we're considering a sporting event, on the books, legally, it is classified as a festival. I bet you guys didn't know that. Maybe like people like T-Bach, who have been doing this longer than I have, probably knew that, but it's classified as a festival. So the big art form in not only just motorsports medicine, but event medicine is that gestalt and that knowledge to predict where you're going to need your medical care to be, particularly if you're doing a spectator venue wide, placing your roving medical teams, placing your main medical center, whether that's your infield care center, whatever you choose to call it, so that you can deliver care optimally, getting the most out of your resources, being physicians, nurses, EMS, tech, volunteers, and doing the most amount of good you can for the most amount of people efficiently, right? That's what this is all about. So the other reason we do this is another problem that lends itself well, unfortunately, to not only motorsports medicine, but to all event medicine, is mass gatherings of that magnitude, right? I mean, I think when we were on the island and downtown, we have a lot of people down there, but really, when you look at world-class massive events, like you look at the Indy 500 and you think about the footprint of the Indy 500 in that venue and the amount of people that are there before the flag drops, it just seems like, T-Bach, help me if I'm wrong. Is that the second largest city in Indiana when the 500 goes off, or is it the largest?
No, it's second largest. So
Second largest.
Over 440. It's over 440 acres is what makes up the proper line of the Apples Motor Speedway. And really, by drop of the green flag, they'll have over 300 and probably 15,000 people there this year, from what we're hearing.
Yeah. So absolutely incredible. So you can just imagine the scope of preparedness and a contingency that you have to have in place to not only deal just with that, but in the event something goes wrong, you have a mass casualty, you have somebody shooting, blasting pepper spray somewhere, anything can happen. So event medicine is not something you can pull off on your own. The big thing is you need a multidisciplinary team, right? Physicians, nurses, paramedics, EMTs, even police, firefighter, your local municipality, resources from them, possibly EMS, clearly firefighter, police. And depending on where you are, us in Detroit being a border town with another country, then we get Border Patrol involved. We have the Coast Guard involved. We have Homeland Security involved. So a lot of people come to the table and are part of this event medicine team. All right. So I always tell this story when I have enough time to tell it, because this is something that made a massive impact on me, and some of you have probably seen this. So, and I remember this very vividly. If you kind of indulge me here a little bit. Oh, come on. Here, let me, this doesn't loop. Okay, I'll keep playing it. So it's 2001. Okay. I'm a senior medical student. Okay. My last year, getting ready to graduate. And it's September, right? And if you remember, September of 2001, a very big event maybe arguably the biggest event that went down on U.S. soil in terms of a terrorist act. 9/11 occurred. And I remember being at home studying for step 2. And I remember sitting on the couch, laying on the couch, watching this race real time as it went down. And I remember saying to myself, man, God, being a physician at the trackside of a race like this, that's the best job in the world. Not even thinking one day that this could be in the cards for me. I didn't even think twice, didn't even really pursue it. It kind of almost fell in my lap. But this is in Germany, 2001. This is Alex Zanardi coming out of pit lane, lost control, and was subsequently hit by Alex Zanardi doing probably 200 plus miles an hour. It was quite a huge tragedy that I'll talk about here in a little bit. There's the car as it laid partially on fire. If you can see here, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but you can see that the front half of the car is missing. And not only is the front half of the car missing, but here's Zanardi, and most of his legs are missing at the same time. All this stuff that you see here, all this kind of liquid that you see here, you think it's oil, but it's not oil. It's his blood, unfortunately. It was quite a horrific accident. It really kind of brought to the light how things can go wrong despite being prepared. And as you can see here, just one thing that I just want to share with you, just from having talked to the 2 physicians that were with CART there when CART was racing in Germany, both Dr. Steve Olvey and Dr. Terry Trammell. Dr. Trammell actually is still fairly active. We're lucky enough to have Dr. Trammell serve on the ICMS Annual Congress Curriculum Committee. But he was telling me that when they got to him, we take for granted some things that we have now, like tourniquets, right? Tourniquets. I mean, I have so many, like I'm getting ready to leave for Long Beach. I'm like tripping on tourniquets over here. I got tourniquets all over the house. But back then, they didn't have tourniquets. In fact, just to let you know how the pendulum in medicine swings, I specifically remember back in the dark ages in the 1900s, late 1900s, when I was in medical school, tourniquets were considered taboo. Ooh, you're going to crush tissue. You're going to cause ischemia. You're going to cause amputations. It's terrible. If you ever put a tourniquet on, you're malpractice. Well, makeshift tourniquets is what saved Alex Zanardi's life. There's a reason why this guy is not wearing his belt up here, and that's because it's being used as a tourniquet. So here he is being loaded in the helicopter, and it was one of those incidents where they were lucky they got exactly to where they got to at the exact time that they got to, because he didn't have a lot of time left, from what I understand, from the amount of volume of blood that he had lost. So what I'm going to do here with the rest of the time, as opposed to just talk about myself, which I don't like doing, I'm going to talk about planning an event, and specifically I'm going to talk about planning the Detroit Grand Prix. So the Detroit Grand Prix is coming up here in about 2 months' time, a little less. We had the big move, as I'm sure all of you know, from the island, Belle Isle, back downtown. You know, the Detroit Grand Prix initially started in 1982 as an F1 race. And it was an F1 race for, was it 6 years, 7 years? I think 7 years. And then they eventually left because, the downtown roads were not nearly as good as they are now. And in fact, there was a part of the circuit that you went over like a railroad crossing, and it's not like the current railroad crossings where it's smooth. Like, it's back in like the old days when you were a kid, you'd go over the railroad crossings and you do one of these. Yeah, that's not good for open wheel race cars. So they left, and IndyCar / CART came in, and here we are. So, I always joke, when you want to start planning an event like this, like the Grand Prix, particularly a street course, right? Just to explain different racing venues for those of you who may not be familiar. IndyCar in particular has 3 venues that they race on. One is an oval, right? Like the Indy 500. It's a established surface venue designed specifically for racing, and for racing at high speeds, right? There's an infrastructure that exists to support the race, to support safety rescue. Couldn't be better. There are road courses. Road courses is like a big, massive, awesome park that's designed for racing, right? So again, the roads are paved. They're designed for racing. There's curbing. There's, along the apex. There's, again, tunnel systems, infrastructure in place for safety teams, a built-in track medical center. Everything's in place that you would want it to have in place. And then there's street courses, okay? And the best way I can describe a street course is not made for racing, never designed for racing. Nobody thought of racing there, but come hell or high water, we're going to race there. Street course. The most famous of all street courses, number 1, Detroit, number 2, Monaco. Okay, maybe I'm a little biased here, but you get my point. Famous street courses are the municipality of Monaco, Long Beach, where we're going currently. So you have to build this all up, right? So that's why I say in this little question at the bottom here, why would you ever want to do something like this to yourself? Well, because we love it. That's why we do it. All right. So I like to incorporate what I call, because I teach at the School of Medicine, and when I teach to the students, and Leonard, who's here, has heard me say this, I like to incorporate what I call TUVs, totally unnecessary videos. Why do I do that? Because, A, usually the videos are cool, and B, it, kind of pulls you back into the screen and maybe refocuses you if you're drifting off. So when I was responsible for planning the Detroit Grand Prix's move downtown, the first thing that I asked myself, and I kind of knew the answer with this, but you sit down with the promoter and say, okay, who am I going to be responsible for? Am I just doing spectator venue? Am I doing on-track pit lane, or am I doing it all? And the answer was, I'm doing it all. So the next question you have to ask yourself is, what resources do I have? If you're wondering, the video here is, I have been fortunate enough with my good friend Rob Seal, and that's Bruce McDonald, driving the Medical Intervention Vehicle 1 at F1 Montreal. This is us in MV1. We are chasing the vintage F1 field on lap 1. We're chasing the field. And the FIA really frowns upon taking videos when you're in an official role. So I'm trying to sit in my seat unbuckled, holding my camera. And Bruce isn't driving bad, but damn it, Bruce is taking every apex like he's trying to qualify. And that's really making it difficult to record. So I apologize about the quality of the video. I'm trying. So I ask, what resources do I have available? What personnel am I going to have? What equipment do I have? Where's my trauma facility, my tertiary care facility? Are they the same? Are they different? Where's my burn center? Is it the same as my trauma center? Is it separate? I'm spoiled in Detroit that the trauma center, tertiary care facility, and the burn center are all the same facility. But a lot of places where you go, that's not the same. The burn facility is completely separate from the trauma facility, is separate from the tertiary care facility. So you need to know where those are at, how you're going to get there. Are there any special circumstances for this venue or this event? And I'll talk about what I mean by that in a minute. And then who are the stakeholders? Who is really going to be engaged in planning for this event? And who does this matter to? And that could be anybody from the promoter, some of the big race teams, the city, the mayor, all the alphabet soup of authorities, FBI, Homeland Security, Coast Guard, all those guys. So usually you have a meeting at some point with all these individuals, and they want to know what you're doing and what you're planning, and they want to have your medical plan in place. So here we go. Okay, so again, I realize I'm limited in time, so I'm going to try to touch on the high points. I can't go through the whole thing here. Leonard's seen versions of the whole thing, and he can tell you it's more than the time we have here. So we're going to do a little crash course, pun intended, here. All right, so when it comes to the Detroit Grand Prix, we are responsible for everybody there. And in fact, knowing that we're on a downtown footprint, we know that we are potentially going to be responding to somebody who just may be passing through the venue on their way somewhere downtown. And we know that potentially we could be providing care to somebody who, hey, maybe does not even like racing, is not there for the race. But at the time, particularly if they're unstable and go down, we have no way to differentiate that. So we're going to respond. Okay. I do, however, draw a limit when it comes to my roving medical teams responding in terms of the can't go like a block off um, the racing venue footprint. Okay. Particularly if someone's like, hey man, there's somebody like 2 blocks over up in a building. They don't feel too good. Yeah, that's not us. That's an entity called EMS. Okay. So we do have some limitations. So we're there for everybody. So here, in a nutshell, if I can put everybody that's there on one screen, this is it. So we kind of have 2 arms of support for the Detroit Grand Prix. We have on-track pit lane support and we have spectator venue support. The resources that we have dedicated to on-track pit lane support is we have an infield care center, the track medical center. We have MRVs. MRV stands for Medical and Emergency Response Vehicle. These are the safety trucks that are the first point of contact if a driver has an incident on track or even in pit lane maybe. We have 2 dedicated pit lane teams. We used to have a pit in and pit out, but now because we have the dual pit lane system, we have a pit left and a pit right. With those pit medic teams, we have, either a paramedic EMT, a paramedic nurse, and then we have pit docs that support each side. We have 5 ambulances dedicated to the track, 4 at particular or strategic corners around the venue, and then 1 at the track medical center. And then there's a medical vehicle that can go out that carries a physician with some accoutrements or some goodies, as I'll talk about in a little later. We have spectator venue support, which includes 3 for stage stations. We have 9 roving medical teams. We have 3 ambulances dedicated just to the venue. And then the track medical center or the infield care center backs up everybody, even the spectator venue side. And then we also have a MedCom or a medical communications coordination center. So we have a dispatcher, Jen, she's the best, who dispatches all medical assets and resources to the venue as needed, but only spectator venue side. Otherwise, the rest of the medical assets and resources that are dispatched on track or in pit lane are done so by race control only. So real quick, this is where our track medical center is. It's actually the first floor of a big old parking garage, and it's a massive facility. We are very fortunate to be in there, and it's right off of the track. So some call it churn 7A or 7.1, but essentially the back stretch coming out of churn 7, going down to churn 8. We're about halfway there, and we have a break in the wall. So if we have somebody that's coming to us off the track, it's really quick and easy to get into the medical center here. The corner where we're located here, I'm standing on Atwater. Atwater is the back stretch of the racing venue. So I mean, we're literally on track. The only way that you can get in as a driver is you enter through the front door. Otherwise, everybody else, spectator, comes in through the parking garage, actually. All right. This is what that space looks like. Okay, this is the front entrance for drivers. This is the racing surface right here. If you can see my cursor, hopefully you can see my cursor. That's the racing surface. So they just pull in right here to turn 7-1 or 7A. And they just come in through these doors, come around the corner here, boom, they're in the track medical center. And then over here is kind of this doorway here is where you would go out into the parking garage. Now, I was really proud of this little mock-up I did here until I presented my plan to members of the Grand Prix Association, which included architects. And they just had a field day with this thing. I mean, I know them really well, and I thought I did a good job. And they just tore this thing up and said, "Yeah, don't go to architect school. You would not do well." Is what I was told. I was anyway. So my madness for the way that I made the medical center here is having had the opportunity to go to multiple different track medical centers with SRO and see kind of what works, see what I liked. I kind of came up with this plan. So if this is Atwater and this is the racing surface and this is Beaubien that leads down both to the track medical center and for the egress out of the track medical center, driver entrance is over here, spectator entrance is over there. So there's 2 points of entrance. So where the drivers come in and enter, I divided that into the driver treatment area here, and then where spectator venues come in, I divided that into the general treatment area. Now, if we're going to get a big wreck or if there's something bad that's gonna go down, anybody that's stable and can either wait in our little medical staff lounge or can be discharged will be done so, and we'll open this up and we'll flex to be able to accommodate everybody coming from the racing service or from pit lane or whatever the case may be. So when we staff it up and get a lot of movers in there and get a lot of equipment in there, that's what it looks like. So this is Bay 1, Bay 2. These are our two trauma bays here. Trauma Bay 1, Trauma Bay 2 for the driver treatment side right here. I saw Aiden on the call here. This is Aiden's very familiar with this area, probably more so than I am. Aiden was our blood runner, so he's very adept at bringing blood products to and from this area. Thank you, Aiden. As we move on, this is just another view. As you can see, we're very well stocked in here. We have crash cart, stretcher, obviously. We have video, video laryngoscopy or video assisted capabilities to take the airway. We have a bunch of other little, tools over here, anything we need from chest tubes to central line kits, AED monitor, pacer defibrillator, crash cart with ACLS drugs, whatever we need, we have. This is on the general treatment side. This is just the charting area / where we have a lot of the medications in our equipment. We kind of separate out the two areas with pipe and drape, and then we also separate out each room with pipe and drape as well. It kind of lends itself well to the endeavor. This is our resuscitation or trauma bay on the general treatment side. And then this is the exits where you would go back into the parking structure and just more of our, medical equipment, linens here. I always boast that I have a lab. I always joke with my wife that if she ever leaves me, the way that I'm going to pick up babes is by boasting that I have a lab. And she just laughs and says, yeah, good luck with that. Let me know how that goes. So during the pandemic, one good thing that came out of the pandemic is when we started racing during the pandemic, we wanted to test for COVID. So in order to use certain COVID test kits, you have to have a CLIA license for a non-complex laboratory like we have here. So I apply for this CLIA license, which allows me to not only test for COVID, but I can do other things with an iStat. I can do, electrolytes. I can do a CBC, AccuCheck. So yeah, it's nice to have the ability to offer that service, particularly somebody who's maybe been in the sun, vomiting a lot, not responding to therapy. You can maybe check some electrolytes, or if, people come to the track with all kinds of bad conditions that maybe they should have gone to the hospital instead. You can maybe get a little additional information to see how bad they are or aren't. So it's a good thing to have, and just some more pictures. So we have quite a bit of capabilities. They're all listed here. I won't go through all of this, but we try to put our best foot forward. For those of us who have trained and practiced emergency medicine in Detroit, as Leonard can attest to, we do emergency medicine just as good, if not better than anybody else in Detroit. And I try to bring that level of expertise, knowledge, and ability to kick ass to the track. So we are fully capable, not only with equipment, but we're also very heavily staffed. We pretty much on every day, whether it's practice, quali, racing, we have a bunch of emergency medicine physicians in there. Usually one of our trauma surgeons is in there. Dr. Moisey is in there, my neurosurgeon. And then maybe not every day, but I usually have an orthopod in there as well. So, and then we even have athletic trainers in there. So we even have the ability to particularly those who are there with the series, like teams, particularly teams that go over the wall to pit the car if they have nagging injuries, or members of the safety team that may have a nagging injury that they're, because this is about midway through the season that when IndyCar is with us, we have both athletic trainers and physical therapists that can not only help them with some symptomatic therapy and relief, but also maybe work with them and educate them how they can maybe go about their daily activities on the track and kind of minimize the impact to the area that they're having difficulty with. So this is where we're located. Here is a footprint of downtown here. This is Jefferson. This is the long stretch that's about 0.8 of a mile. We don't have a lot of corners here, as you can see. But on this the front stretch here, I I think they reached speeds of 190 miles an hour, which is quite impressive. Of course, being a Detroiter and knowing day in and day out what I see in the ER as motor wrecks, it broke my heart to say, Tim, it's probably not the first time somebody did 190 on the streets of Detroit, but taking nothing away from IndyCar. Okay. Or the prototypes, they go pretty fast on that front stretch as well. So a very valuable thing that we have in place now. So one of the streets here, this is Beaubien. Beaubien goes all the way down to the racing surface here, which is Atwater. And the Track Medical Center is right here in the corner of Beaubien and Atwater. And when we were going to make the move from the island back downtown, me and the president of the Grand Prix Association, Mike Montre, we kind of rode around this entire footprint looking for a place to potentially have a track medical center. And when he showed me this facility, I jumped right away because it's easy access off the track in the event of a critical. We can easily access the track. And the great part, especially about being on a street circuit, it allows us a rapid egress with the track hot. On the island, if I had a critical in the track medical center, we were inside the track, and I had to get them out, I had to call race control, and they would have to red flag the race or delay the race for me to cross the track. Plain and simple. Because it's a street circuit. It has no infrastructure. It doesn't have a tunnel system. It doesn't have a bridge to get out. So you got to do what you got to do. Oddly enough here, and this is why I wanted this facility, as you go north on Beaubien here to Jefferson, eastbound Jefferson is only used as part of the racing surface from essentially the hairpin here till Bates. And then there's a little runoff, but the rest of Jefferson is not used. So I just go up Beaubien, make a right onto Jefferson, go underneath the bridge, and boom, I'm out. With the track hot, I don't got to red flag. I don't got to do anything. I just have to drive. All right. So our hours of operation, we normally operate 7A to 9P, but last year there was a request from IndyCar that they were going to open their garages sooner. So they asked us to open sooner. So no problem. We did. After 9P, we have a medical concierge service. There's cards that get handed out. So if you need any kind of medical care, whatever the case may be, you just call or text the number that's given to you on the card, which is, whoop, oh, the card didn't make the cut. And most of the time you get me. All right, so these are our medical emergency response vehicles, our MERVs, okay? These are pickup trucks that have a crew chief. They have a jump medic that I place, and the jump medic, sometimes it's a paramedic or sometimes it's a physician that has been trained in this role. There's 2 firefighters, and they're either the first point of contact if a car has an incident on track, or in the event if it's IMSA or if it's IndyCar, they will be backup for either one of the chase vehicles or safety 1, safety 2 from IndyCar. We have pit support teams, we have pit docs, and then we have the medical vehicle, which depending on the series will have their own medical vehicle. This is IMSA's Chase 2. Back when they used to drive with one of our physicians. That's one of my assistant medical directors, and they're all geared up in the fire suit, the Nomex, the helmet, the earpiece, radio, and then they carry some advanced equipment with them. They have video laryngoscopy available to them. They'll have RSI drugs in case we have to take the airway in the field or in the back of the ambulance, and some other little toys that they bring with them. We have ALS ambulances. Alpha Zero sits at the Track Medical Center. Alpha 1's in Churn 1, Alpha 2's in Churn 2, Alpha 5's in 5, obviously, and 8's in 8. And that does it for our on-track pit lane support. And now to transition over to spectator venue support. So this was the on-track pit lane support was easy, right? It didn't change too much from how we did it on the island. It's essentially deciding, okay, where are we going to put the MERVs, where are we going to put the ambulances? Where does IndyCar and IMSA want to come out of? Okay, good, break, good, we're done. Planning the spectator venue support, this is where kind of you earned your pay and kind of really kind of had to go to work. So having lived downtown, both for medical school and for residency. I kind of know this area well. And the thing that I didn't like about it is knowing the area well is what made planning this kind of scary. Just because this area is kind of difficult to access, even when there's not a barriers up and it's closed off for the Grand Prix. Even when it's wide open, it's kind of difficult to get from one area to the other. Now put a racing circuit in there, put speedway fencing up, cordon off certain areas, and then try to do a medical response. It becomes a bit of a nightmare. So our plan was we were going to provide 3 first aid stations, just given the limitations of movement during the venue. We wanted to be sure that regardless of what part of the footprint you were on, you had access to a first aid station or the track medical center. We knew that with the capabilities we had at our infield care center, we were not going to have to transport many patients. We could take care of it there. We had 9 roving medical teams to bring people in, and then we had 3 ambulances strategically located in the event that at the first aid station they couldn't do it, and we knew for sure that they needed a hospital and not the infield care center. Then they would just directly go to the hospital, and we didn't have to worry about it. So this is some of the capabilities of our first aid stations. They had basic first aid equipment, medications, obviously cardiac monitor, pacer defibrillator. They had the ability to, if they had to breathe for somebody and take the airway, they could do that. They had oxygen. And then everybody, whether you were a first aid station, roving medical team, had a mass casualty hemorrhage control kit, Narcan, and a supraglottic airway device and an AED. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So this is just kind of surfing the Grand Prix website one day. I came across this picture and I'm like, aha, and then the light bulb went on and I'm like, this is how we're going to plan our response. So the Grand Prix is broken up into 4 color-coded areas. The orange area here is Hart Plaza, and that's where the biggest fan activation is. A lot of the, Cadillac, GM, Toyota will have fan activation stuff there. There'll be vendors in there. Name it. It's a very busy, very heavily trafficked area. The blue zone is known as the GM zone, and that's basically where the Renaissance Center is and GM World Headquarters. The red zone is the paddock. This is where the cars are paddocked, and most are paddocked into here. On the first year, we had Trans Am over here, but this is now just a TV compound, and most of the paddock is right here. And then the green area is where the free spectator viewing platforms are located just north of Jefferson. So I'm like, aha, so this is how we're going to do it. So this is how we did our medical response. Our rover teams were broken up into where they were working. So rover 1, 2, and 3, they patrol Hart Plaza. Rover 4, there's a talk about stick your little finger out and sip your wine and take your cracker of caviar. That's the rooftop viewing zone right here between turn 5 and 6, and we had a roving team up there. Rovers 5, 6, and 7 had the paddock and what's now the TV compound, and then Rover 8 and 9 were outside of the track in the spectator viewing platform area north of Jefferson. So this is what it all looks like when everybody is in place. So Alpha is your ambulances, Alpha Hart Plaza, Alpha 0 is Track Medical Center, Alpha Paddock, Alpha Spirit Plaza. The little crosses here are first aid stations, Track Medical Center, first aid station. Ours are rovers, and I believe that's it. So that's the spectator venue footprint. So case in point, track is hot. You have a bridge you can cross, You have somebody in here that's having chest pain and they have a cardiac history and they have to go to the hospital. They can't even come to us for us to do it. Then they hop on Alpha HP here. Rover brings them from wherever they're doing. They get stabilized. They go back way here to the ambulance and out they go. Same thing over here. Let's say we have an incident in pit lane and it's an obvious injury like a mid-shaft femur fracture that we're going to splint on scene and then transport right to the hospital because we're not going to do much more than that unless they're unstable. Then we may intervene and stabilize before we go. Then we have an ambulance in here that's just going to take them right out. So regardless of where you're at, let's say you're over here and you need some medical care. Boom. We have the first aid station here, also an ambulance here to transport. So every little color zoned area was designed as being almost its little mini area, complete with first aid station, physician, nurse, roving teams, ambulance. So every area had that. Whoops. And this is with everybody in there. MERVs, track alphas, meaning track ambulances, pit docs, pit medics. This is all medical assets on the track venue. There you go. I'm running low on time, so I'm going fast. So everybody that's at the event will have at least these things. So if you're on a roving medical team or you're in a first aid station, obviously the infield care center has more capabilities. And also all the jump medics on the MERV have this. The pit lane guys have this. Everybody has an eye gel for an airway. This is called a supraglottic device. AED, mass casualty hemorrhage control kit. Unfortunately, we live in a time where there's active shooters, bombs, and we need to be able to control significant hemorrhage. Now, this is, you have a big artery that's hit and it's bleeding. This is not somebody falls, scrapes their knees, you're putting a tourniquet on them. We also have Narcan. Unfortunately, we're in a time where opiate use disorder is a very real thing, and we know that you can see this anywhere, so everybody carries a Narcan kit as well. Rapid egress, this is what I was talking about earlier, so we won't spend much time here. You can see the blue here. You just go up Beaubien, make the right onto Jefferson. This is a hot red track. You just go under the track and you're gone, right? And I even timed it myself. I'll admit I did speed, guilty, but I stopped for all stop signs and red lights. Made it there in 3 minutes and 34 seconds. Pretty good. Lights and sirens, you can go a little faster. Now, I always say, if nothing else, man, if medicine doesn't work out for me, motorsports doesn't work out for me, I really got a handle on this PowerPoint stuff. Now, look at this action. Now, let's say you have a rapid egress that you need out of your first aid station. This is something we really much had to practice and know how to get out of there because this area is a zoo. So the first aid station is right across from this Dodge fountain. So essentially, we come out, make like a little U-turn, go. So we're going down this road here. Here we are right here. We're about to make a left over here like we're going to the Detroit Princess. Here we go, right there. Okay. And then we go down here and out, and there's the Hart Plaza ambulance is right in there. And then on Civic Center Drive, we actually have extra ambulances staged as well. It's very important to be prepared. If you have a couple of people that need to go out, somebody from the venue, somebody from the track, and you have 2-3 ambulances gone, it's important to have those that can immediately backfill so that you don't have to go down or that you're not limited by running a hot track and being down an ambulance or two. So all I got to do now is figure out how to get those marching ants like they do on IndyCar and F1, and I would be all set. If you know how to do that, let me know because I'm really dying to do it. All right. We're in the home stretch here. This is where I was saying who the stakeholders are. So we have a MAC that's in place and that's in charge of the entire Grand Prix. And the job of the MAC is to monitor the integrity of the race and any potential threats to it. So inside the MAC occupies the space right next or right between Medical Center, Race Control, MAC. And that's representatives from Race Control are in there, medical, the Grand Prix event, police authorities in there, the National Weather Service is in there. Everybody is in here for that. Okay, special considerations, and I'm going to end with this one. So in looking at this thing, one of the things that we have to keep in mind is what is the worst thing that can happen? And being an ER physician, you're kind of good at this. Leonard, correct me if I'm wrong, but I describe us, and Carlos, you're on here too. This is in your wheelhouse. We are optimistically pessimistic, okay? Meaning we're trained to think worst case scenario, but we're always the glass is always half full for us, okay? So in planning this event and kind of driving around the circuit, one of the things that struck me is when you come down into turn 6, and then it's almost kind of like a natural little chicane that happens. This little area here right by turn 7, you're about 36 feet from the wall. Racing surface 36 feet from the wall, right? So when you go on top of that parking structure and you look out, this is what you're seeing. And then when you go down to turn 7 and then just kind of turn right and face, you see a lot of water, and then you see a lot of, this is called the Riverwalk here. So if you go down there on your day off and employ some of the homeless down there to hold tape measures for you and to help you measure, this is what you come up with. So you can see from the edge of the wall here to the edge of the Riverwalk, which you would then fall into and hit water, it's about 36 feet or a linear distance of about a little over 40 feet. Okay, so potentially you could get into water. Now, I understand it's probably not going to happen because here's turn 7 with the fencing up, okay? And this is where I can't help myself. This is where I nerd off like nobody's business. So you have 9 rows of K-wire here reinforcing this fencing. So essentially you have speedway fencing, right? And this is all tethered to each other. Very, very firm, stable structure. Very, very unlikely event, but you have to be prepared. So here's our plan. So here is the racing footprint. You come down here. This is Bates. You make a left onto Bates at turn 5 here onto Atwater. You have a little natural chicane that's formed just by the way that downtown is laid out. And this is the area in question right here. Okay, so the plan is we have employed both the services of the Detroit dive team as well as Detroit firefighters. So in the event that the vehicle goes off, Detroit dive team goes. They have divers that are suited up throughout the race. At the drop of the hat, they're in the water. They recover the driver. Now, the driver's okay. They get in the boat and they come back here. Driver's not okay. They hand the driver off to Detroit Fire, and Detroit Fire starts the resuscitative efforts in the Savad here. They have a rescue litter in the back here. So this is the kind of planning and conversations and meetings you have to have with both police, fire at the same time, and what we present at the all-agency meeting when we talk about contingency plans and special considerations. This is just part of some of the planning. This isn't everything. I don't have time to do everything, but this is one of the ones that required a lot of stakeholders and a lot of agencies to be involved for us to complete this portion of the planning. And you have to ride out there with Detroit Police and make sure that the planned recovery area works, that you can easily do a handoff, and that everything's a go. We have a mass casualty plan in place. We have a plan in place for on-track fatalities if that happens. A suspicious package. We have electronic web-based tracking system in case somebody gets lost or we're looking to see when they were treated, what was wrong with them. Just a little something that I will share with you, but this is my advice to you. First and foremost, at this point of your training, and I don't know where everybody's level of training is here, but if you're in medical school or if you're pre-med and you want to go to medical school, be the best that you can be at your job. So if you're a student, be the best student you can be. If you're in med school, be the best medical student you can be. Be the best student you can be so you set yourself up to do the residency that you want to do so you can be the best physician out there. Because if people are going to come knocking and looking for a physician to work an event, whether that's motorsports, whatever, they don't want to take the dude that just finished last in their class. I mean, you know what you call the guy who finished last in your medical school class is, right? You guys have heard this corny joke? Doctor. Okay, so you want to be the best you can be, all right? And then everything will flow from there. Okay, that's the best thing you can be. Now, when you have free time and you're not going to sacrifice your studies or being good at your craft, belong to the ICMS, right? There's a great program that we have here in place. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. The fee to belong is very little, but the real value that you have as a student belonging to the ICMS is just the exposure you have to those who day in and day out work in motorsports and do it routinely. Okay, I'm not saying I'm worth the price of admission, but there are those who are. If you really want to get involved, find a track near you and volunteer, right? And again, temper your expectations. A lot of stuff needs to be done at the track. To quote the famous movie Caddyshack, the world does need ditch diggers. So, expect to start small and you'll climb, okay? Work hard at the track, come early, stay late, do anything you can. Aiden, who's on this call, is a shining example of that. I could not get this kid enough action. He was that good. And then have fun at the track, man. When I'm at the track, to me, it's like Christmas morning. It's like my happy place. I love being there. And if that turns out to be the case for you, so be it. With that, I know I'm over a little, but I can't help it. I have the gift of gab. Any questions? Let them fly.
Ethan, thank you so much for sharing and chatting with us. Always insightful and always entertaining. I can tell you, as someone that actually has a lab, it is a much bigger flex than owning a Ferrari. So I'll put it to you that way. And I don't have a Ferrari, so I can't really have the data to try that just yet.
Gotcha.
I think you maybe have time for 1 or 2 questions if you'd like to chime in.
David, I'll throw one at him.
Thanks,
Trifun,
Tom.
for in terms of your role with especially moving the event back downtown, can you tell you talked about your interactions with the city and the fire department, police department, Homeland Security, et cetera, Border Patrol. What about Penske Entertainment? I mean, how much are you engaged with them as you put this program together?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, as if you don't know, the current promoter for the Detroit Grand Prix, the Grand Prix Association, is actually a subsidiary of Penske Corp. So, Mr. Penske and the Penske Association is very much engaged and committed to putting forth the best product that they can. And anybody who's been involved with Penske Core or the Penske Automotive or any kind of Penske subsidiary knows what that means. So when we made the move and the decision to go downtown, I kind of knew about a year and a half before we did it. Even kind of toward the end of the second to last race on the island, I knew that eventually we were going to be moving downtown. So I was pulled into meetings, and not only was I pulled into meetings, I was pulled into meetings saying, being asked, "Hey, what do you think? Can we do this?" I mean, from your point of view, right? From just me being the medical director for this event, can we do this? And of course, I asked for information before I did that. I'm like, okay, so what's the footprint? Where are we going to be? And just to let you know how engaged they are in terms of not only my end of it, but just downtown in the business. If you look at the Detroit Grand Prix and you look at the actual circuit, it's only 1.7 miles or so, I think. And another thing, if you notice, and this is not something you probably know unless you're kind of familiar with downtown, the entire footprint is south of Jefferson, right? So the northernmost part of the footprint is on Jefferson, and the rest of it is below Jefferson. Meaning it's in very close proximity to the water. And that was by deliberate design because they wanted to not affect downtown businesses and traffic and everything else that goes on much. They wanted to do so in a very limited capacity. So that's what they did. That's why the footprint looks the way it does. So once I got that footprint and understood why it was the way it was, and then I saw that color coordinated scheme. Yeah, when I met with them, I said, "Yeah, this is we can do this, and this is how we're going to do it." The fact that we have a rapid egress without having to go down or red flag the race is great. So they were very much safety first and forward, which is very refreshing to see in motorsports because a lot of times in motorsports, medical and safety is like an afterthought. They're like, "Oh, crap, bad accident. Hey, where's we got medical here?" So the fact that they were so forward and out front of this to make sure that they didn't commit to going downtown and they didn't even know what this was going to look like. They brought me on board and they talked me through, what their vision was in terms of how this was going to look downtown, why it was designed the way it was, where pit lane was supposed to be. The original pit lane was not supposed to be a dual pit lane. There was another configuration I saw, but it just didn't work with the existing structures and just they didn't have the full 1,000 feet. So that's why it became a dual pit lane. And that's actually another special consideration. I just ran out of time. I didn't have time to go into that as well. So yeah, to your point, Tom, I mean, I can keep talking about this, but yeah, before the move was announced and before we were full throttle downtown, not only were we, was I brought in to say, "Hey, can you do this? And what is it going to look like? And is there anything, challenging, or are we setting ourselves up for failure here?" But then also I was, Michael Mantra and I went on we just drove around this footprint and he took me to potential medical center facilities that they found. And yeah, that was the one that I picked and that's what we ran with. So yeah,
Okay.
very much involved.
Thanks. I think we got our last question will be from Dr. Reed. The floor is yours, and we'll wish everyone a wonderful day.
Trifun, this is Mike Reed at the University
Hi.
of Florida. Thank you for a terrific talk, as always, both informative
Thank
and
you.
entertaining. You pointed out that you work with both IndyCar and with IMSA. For your operation, is it plug and play no matter which series is there, or are there different considerations between the two?
Oh, that's a great question. No, it's actually not plug and play at all. And every series does it a little differently. And this is where playing when I say I play both sides of the fence, I don't mean that in an inappropriate way or like a espionage way or a political way. But having been both a track medical director, meaning the medical director of a specific track, and then having been the CMO of a racing series, I get to see from a medical perspective what you want as the guy responsible for the series and what you want and need to provide as the guy responsible for the venue, right? So it is very different. So case in point, when IndyCar comes, IndyCar does it better than anybody else. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, if there's a blueprint that you're going to follow in terms of how you want to design the role of the medical director or CMO, whatever you want to call them, the support staff, nursing, having your own medical facility, having your own traveling safety team that does vehicle recovery, track cleanup. I mean, IndyCar is the prototype. I mean, they've actually even presented that to the FIA and F1 several times. So when they come, and the series is pretty good at sending you in advance what their expectations are so that as the track, you're not surprised or taken back by that. So case in point, so I know that when IndyCar comes, they have their own medical vehicle that is staffed with their own physicians, the 1200 vehicle. So I know that they are all set there. I don't need to provide a physician in their vehicle at all. I do as a courtesy, though, because they have a list of medications that they would like to have if I'm able to provide that in case the driver is in trouble and needs help, and I provide them with that. Okay. Other than that, I just have my safety trucks and my jump medics in a backup role, pit lanes, pit lane, and they're very self-sufficient. Previously, when IMSA would come, IMSA would say, okay, we don't always travel with a physician, or back a few years ago, they didn't travel with any physician. We need you to provide a physician for Chase 2 to be the physician on track in case we need a physician on track. So I have several physicians that are trained in that role that would go and sit in Chase 2 with IMSA trackside, coming out of Churn 7-1. They're right where the track medical center is, and that's what they did. That was their role. When we were on the island and before, for example, Roy Spielman took over, they would just have Chase 1 and 2. They would not have rescue trucks. So the primary point of contact was our MERV would respond to all IMSA vehicles. Now, when Roy Spielman took over, he has built up that program, and they travel with safety trucks. So IMSA is kind of like IndyCar. They will be the first point of contact. Now, at the extreme end, and I don't mean this in a bad way, you have Trans Am. Trans Am has no traveling medical anybody. So when Trans Am comes and they reach out, they are fully dependent on you for the medical vehicle as well as the physician. So we have our own medical vehicle that we put a physician in, and we have a driver, and sometimes we may put somebody else in there that will go out for Trans Am and respond to Trans Am. Trans Am has no safety recovery vehicles they travel with, so we do everything for Trans Am. So to your point, it's very much series dependent. Some will come very well equipped and be able to almost function independently, and some are 100% dependent on you and can't do anything without you. So yeah, excellent question.
Well, excellent. Well, with that, Trifun, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to share with us. As we all know, this was insightful, enlightening, and entertaining as always, so I appreciate that. I'm sure if any questions come up, Dr. D would be happy to respond to them and answer them, and Aiden's looking forward to being a blood runner for you in May. So with that, I will say thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you, Aiden.